My name is Tiffany Johnson. After being in childcare for many years and having my own successful business, I wanted to show you what it takes to be top tier. So today we will talk about the challenges that childcare centers and parents face with students. We have a special guest today, more like my sister and my business partner, Latoya Williams.
Thank you for having me today. My name is Latoya Williams. Like you said, I have been in early childhood care and education for 17 years. I have a bachelor's from Columbia College, and I have associates from Millisec, and I work at Success by Steps Early Learning Academy.
Again, the best center on the planet.
Yes,
so
for sure.
Today we're going to talk about developmental delays in childcare. Man, listen.
Major issue.
It's on the rise. I don't think I told you, but when I talked to our speech pathologist for the center, I talked to her yesterday. And she told me that the county, or I guess the agency that she works at as well, that they tested 20 kids in the last 30 days. Out of the 20 kids that they tested, 16 of them had autism.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So I'm like, well, Jesus, what we going to do? Because we're starting to see more kids come into the center with some type of developmental delay. So I don't know where we go, outside of trying to get outside services to help the kids and the parents,
Right.
Honestly, this is the first time where, as long as, we both have been in childcare for 16, 17 years, that I was at a loss.
Yeah.
Like I'm stumped. And I'm like, okay, well, we're having so many kids that come in with something. Most of the time, they ain't even diagnosed yet.
Nope.
We just know that, you need some services, or you may need some services. So what type of developmental delays do you feel like we see more now than in the past?
Well, a common one is speech, but I want to say behavior. Behavior is a big one because a lot of parents, it goes deeper past the parents, right? So when you take your child to the physician, they ask you all these questions.
Ooh, and won't they tell a fib?
They will tell a fib. And I think it goes beyond that. It's how the parents was raised and the perception that you have to, my child needs to be perfect. My child needs to do this and we need to do that. And when they don't, it continues to snowball because the child has an issue and we're masking the issue when we go to the doctor. No, he says all these words at home and you know that little Johnny is not talking. So because you don't want to look a certain way, you don't address the issues. Or no, little Johnny's just upset today because he didn't have his favorite brownie or whatever.
Or so he couldn't bring his truck into the
yes,
school.
But every day there's a reoccurring, but you don't want a stipulation or something to be put on your child. So then you don't get services. You hide it.
Or one of the big things too is when if they are enrolled into a childcare center and a childcare center notices that something is wrong, when the parents are in denial, the first thing they do is what?
Blame the childcare facility, blame everybody.
And pull them out. So you pulling your child out of a center that notices that your child may need additional services does not help the child. It's like I was telling the speech pathologist yesterday, we have to get to a point where we have to take our own personal feelings out of it and say, let's do what's best for the child. You know? So I don't care if my child needs speech. I don't care what my mama say, what his daddy say or her daddy say or whatever case may be. Like, I don't care what my friends say. Like if my child needs, because this is my thing as a parent, I would be more embarrassed if my child was not like other children, the typical, there's no typical child these days. But when my child goes around other students or other kids or my friends' kids that's his or her age, and they're talking fluently, and my child is screaming, jumping up and down,
have no words,
has no words, but probably mama, or cup, most of the time, then for me, that's the embarrassment.
It definitely is embarrassing.
Not, hey, my child does need additional services, so this is the service that my child is getting. So, hey, I know where my child stands, but I also know I'm doing whatever it takes for my child to become better. So since you're in childcare, just like we both are, what do you feel like how do we tell parents, hey, your child needs services?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
That right there
is a whole different ballgame.
Oh my gosh. Trying to
you want to go to dinner? I got the winning lottery ticket for you. Let me put this icing in the cake first.
Oh Lord. I mean,
it is very hard. It's very hard because because you're thinking this mom and dad gonna flip out. They're gonna turn my desk over. All of the above.
Or the biggest thing is you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Ain't nothing wrong with him. Ain't nothing wrong with her.
Because all y'all do is play all day anyway.
Oh, listen, that's when they really start.
Help me, Holy Ghost.
Listen, that's when they really start coming in for the center. Well, every time I come in here, I don't see y'all doing that anyway. So how y'all know something wrong with it? Oh, my Lord, Jesus, take the wheel. It's like, ma'am,
we are
calm down.
Trying to help you. Help your child be a better person in life.
So what do you feel like, not just us, but childcare centers in general, how do you feel like we can like soften the blow?
So I feel like proof is in the pudding. So sometimes, I don't know, I know some childcare facilities don't have observation rooms where they can actually watch their children, but documentation for sure. Write down these things that your child's doing, that child is not doing or maybe doing. Because, some children STEM and other children don't. To kind of soften the blow. Hey, mama, let's have a conversation. And it's all about how you present yourself to the family. It's always about how you, like, I can't come to you and say, oh, Tiffany, your child been showing out all day. I think something is wrong with him. You can't come and tell the parent that. Because now she about to be on 100.
What you mean?
What you mean? But it's all about how you come to the parent.
He just don't like you.
He just don't like you. Every time I come in here, he's sitting over there and you ain't trying to do nothing. That's a whole roller coaster. But it's all about how you deliver it to the parent. If you come and tell mommy, I noticed little Johnny is having issues. You know how I noticed? Because I've been documenting. Can we talk about some of these issues? Tell the parent, have you seen these issues at home? Try to reel them in. Bring them a part of the conversation. Because if I'm just sitting and saying, little Johnny was slapping Susie and he bit such and da-da-da-da, they're overwhelmed. It's too much.
They're going to feel like you're attacking the child instead of you coming to me and telling me that, hey, this is what little Johnny is doing. And not only that, just giving them concrete proof to say, hey, listen, this is according to... it is an Eckert's, whatever system that you're using, state standards, whatever you use, this is what your child at this age should be doing. Same thing, the ASQs.
Yep.
So your doctor give it to you. You got to answer them questions.
Right.
It's the same form. At this particular age, your child should be doing all of these things. So so out of this paper that I'm giving you, let's go through them.
Yep.
So we noticed that Johnny has been in our care for 30, 45 days. Sometimes it don't even take that long. It depends on the severity of the child. And he's not able to perform this. Little Johnny should be hopping on one leg at this point. He should, learn how to do fine motor and gross motor skills. These are the things that we have done, and he has not been able to complete or master this particular task. So, hey, let's sit down together and let's talk about it. Have you noticed this at home? Have you noticed this at home? So I think that does soften the blow, but also giving them resources. Because I think that if we're telling a parent, hey, according to this particular standard that we want to go by, Johnny may need, or he's needing help, or he's lacking in this particular area, going into it and say, hey, but guess what? we gotta, if even it was speech, he supposed to know a certain amount of words by a certain age. Hey, but guess what? We have a speech pathologist that comes in every Tuesday and Thursday. If you feel like this package, she'll be able to help you, so you don't have to worry about going to the doctor. You don't have to worry about this. So it also takes some of the responsibility off the parent, because now they don't have to worry about, okay,
what am I do next?
Yeah, what's next? Like, how, I don't know what to do. I've never had this issue before. And most parents that I've seen never had to deal or never had any of the, if they have additional children, they don't have no other child that has that particular developmental delay. I've never, and not saying that it's not out there, but I've never seen a parent that has 3 kids and all 3 of her children has the same, developmental delay. So it's definitely on the rise. But like I said, I think that us giving them the resources, like, it really does soften the blow of what they need or what's next. And also having a good speech pathologist or occupational therapist or whatever a behavior therapist, whatever the child needs, and having a good relationship with them helps too. Because it helps the teachers know, okay, what do I supposed to do with this child? Because I don't know about this particular behavior. I don't know about this particular, development. So what do I do next? So just teaming up with the teacher, the parent, and whoever the therapist is will make a difference in the child's life. So, so another thing that we have is, even if, say for instance, we did all those things, we took them out to lunch, we gave them a gift card. We even, called the main line, and to soften this blow. How do you deal with, after we have done all of this, they still are in denial?
That's a hard one. Because your heart wants to help this child. So at that point, you just do follow-ups. I wouldn't say you got to pressure. Because the more you apply pressure, guess what? They backing out the door. And the last thing you want them to do is to leave. Because a lot of child care facilities, not like Success by Steps, who going to ride or die with you for your child. So I would say apply pressure, but make sure it's not so aggressive.
But it's consistent.
It's consistent.
Like, hey, mama, just checking in to make sure. Is, how do you feel? Because I even a family member of mine, I noticed that something was, what's the right word? Lord Jesus. He was not developing the way that he should be according to his age. And at the time, I kept telling them, like, hey, by the way, you might, I got some good services, but, you might want to, let's do this together, denial. Oh, nothing wrong. The child ended up getting tested 30 days before school started and found out that the child needed services. But now you have to go through school, and if the child would have started early enough, it could have decreased the length of time that services was needed. Or the child may not have needed services at all.
Absolutely not.
The earlier, the better.
Oh, and I can say that from personal experience. Madison showed signs like immediately. And my mom was like, I didn't know what to tell you. I was like, Mama, but you should have told me. I'm going to jump on it. So when we jumped on it, that lady said, oh, yeah, your baby has some delays. When she came back for that next, I think, month or 2 appointment, she was like, this is not the same child who wasn't talking, because we jumped on it. We was proactive. We was like, hey, no more pointing. I need you to use your words. And it was heartbreaking. My baby crying for a cup. And I'm like, I need you to attempt. It is very heartbreaking, but they have to stay persistent on it. Because if you don't start, they're going to be catching up, running a race.
And it's
on
hard.
A treadmill.
Yeah, and it's hard to catch. It's not impossible, because I've seen it.
Oh, yes.
I've seen it happen. But you also know that, hey, you could have done something earlier to decrease the amount of time that your child has these services, or how much they have these services, because we could have done something different sooner. So I even had a parent, this was years ago, I think when we first opened up the preschool, I had a parent, I went to the parent like, hey, Mom, a little Ray may need some little help,
Yeah.
but, because we're seeing X, Y, and Z, we're seeing this, gave them the proof. Of course, she got upset. Of course, like you said, use everything against the school. You know what you're talking about. You just try to, diagnose which I never throw out. I'm never specific about even though in my mind and how long we have been in it for a long time, I can probably pinpoint, exactly what it is. But, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, we're not a physician.
I don't have MD behind my name and don't want it either. But by being in it for so long, you can kind of really pinpoint what most of the time. So I didn't even call out a particular delay. Tell me why the little boy ended up going to public school the next year. She ended up coming back to the school and was like, Tiffany, I apologize because something was wrong. And because, public school going to get you.
Yeah. They're going to hit you, and they're going to hit you hard. And they're not going to give you no soft cushion, no blow. They're going to be like, your child need to be in this class, and it's not
your child needs your child need these services, and he going to get them. He or she is going to get these services. Don't care how you feel. This is what's going to happen. So I think that, but she ended up coming back and saying, you know what, Tiffany, I apologize because he did need help. But now in school, he's getting this, and this. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Because I still thank God for him getting the services. But for me, us being in early childcare, it's for early intervention.
For them
so it's like we need to start it early. So whenever they get to public school, maybe they don't have as many behavior issues, or they don't have to call in so many different therapists for so many kids if it starts early. So, so what can childcare centers do to help teachers deal with these delays in children? Because it can be overwhelming.
It can be very overwhelming
for teachers.
Yes, especially when it's a behavioral delay. It is very taxing on the teacher. I feel like directors need to be aware. And when you hear a child that particular child screaming and hollering, like we do, we don't just say, "Hey, y'all got it." Is there anything I could do for you? What does he need? Do I need to take him out, calm him down some for you, bring him in, that type of thing? Give the teachers the knowledge they need. Like allow the teachers to communicate with the therapist. So if the therapist say, little Johnny needs to use this particular chart to start pointing to and reading, I want, then give the teacher a copy of that. And one at home, one at school. Everybody's working together to make it a better place for the child, to put the child in a better place. Just bringing the teachers in the loop. Because sometimes we don't do that. We don't bring the teachers in the loop. And they're the one dealing with the child.
Or what happens is we let the therapist come in and let the therapist go back out the door.
And that's it. No conversation,
so we don't know what the therapist is working on.
Nothing.
We don't know if the therapist said he getting better, he getting worse. Or we don't know nothing. We let the therapist come in and walk back out the door. So a conversation does have to be had. You have to have a conversation to say, okay, listen, we're working on this. If he does this, if he start beating his head against the wall, then you need to do this. Or matter of fact, does he do it here? Or when does he do it? So, hey, do we need to go get patents, or do we need to go get something soft or a pillow or something to make the child more comfortable? Like, because if a child has a developmental delay and it's severe, we have to, as a child care group, as a company, or no matter who it is, have to figure out how can we put things in place. Like I had an autistic child. He loved puzzles. So I knew I had to keep a lot of puzzles everywhere. Even if I had to put a puzzle, if we were in blocks, we had firefighter, puzzles in it, or map puzzles in blocks. Or if we was in science, we had puzzles about, whatever it was. So yes, the other students were able to play with it, but as he moved around the center or moved around the classroom, he still had something to help him stay calm.
Absolutely.
Because that's something that he liked to do. You know what I'm saying? And not trying to, because I just heard this when we enrolled one of the other students. She went to another childcare facility and she was being isolated from the rest of the class. And I'm like, that's not helping
social, emotional, at all.
That's not allowing her to gain social skills. If she's being isolated, you guys basically give her a tub of blocks or some toys, put her away from the rest of the students and think that she's going to learn how to sit down. She's going to learn how to put stuff back. She's going to learn how to communicate. She can't even learn the routine of the classroom.
Because you're not including her.
Because you're not including her. So stuff like that still exists because guess what? You know why? Because the therapist did not communicate with the director didn't communicate with the teacher ain't communicating with the parent. So only thing the parent is doing is coming in and watching or seeing her child isolated and trying to figure out why. So even when the therapists come in, because it's a lot of, Google is real and good. YouTube is great, but even just reaching out to, and the state has done a really, really good job of a lot of resources to even come in and train or even give pamphlets or anything when it comes down to whatever the delay is, so we can be specific, because it's hard to say, okay, well, these are developmental delays. It's not a situation where we can put everything in one basket and stir it, or put everything in one pot and stir it and say, okay, well, now you know about developmental delays. No, I know about this baby that can't talk. Yeah. That's one thing I know. But if I bring in a child that comes in and he's kicking and he's spitting and he's biting and he's 5, I don't know about that. No. So that don't mean we don't go back and say, okay, let's identify. Let's bring a professional in to identify what the issue is, or even bring the professional in and say, hey, he's not being diagnosed with something like I was speaking with. I was just like, hey, listen, this is what I'm here for. I'm doing this, but I have brought in the OT. I have brought in other therapists to come in because I feel X, Y, and Z. But in the meantime, they give us something to work with until he get the services that he or she gets the services that they need. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think that's important. Also, when the teachers are being get overwhelmed, because it's overwhelming.
It is.
Give them a break.
Yeah. Step in there. Let them take a break. Let them breathe
for a minute.
And it's not going to kill you to go in there and figure out what's going on. Let them breathe. Let me tell you something. 15 minutes of a break is better than 15 minutes in a orange jumpsuit, because she didn't snap in there on a child.
And slung the baby across the room.
Give them 15 minutes to gather themselves.
5 minutes.
5
a break
minutes.
is great, for a teacher that has to deal with not even just children with developmental delays, but children in general. Because, Jayla is about to be 18. And even when we started in childcare 16, 17 years ago, the students that we see today are not the same.
Oh, God, no.
They're not the same, and they're not being raised the same either. So it's a lot, outside of developmental delays that we have to still take into consideration to still give the teachers that break that they need when they're dealing with children with delays or children without delays. Is really, really important. So other than that, I appreciate you coming to see me again today. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Top Tier Childcare Podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you have any questions, you can email us at info@thetoptier.org. Remember, quality service is not what you put into it. It's what the customer gets out of it. See you next time.